Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brewing with Jim.
Indeed. Hello, everybody. It's good to be with you.
Absolutely. My name is Joseph Jasper. I'm the co-host. I'm the question asker. I am here with
Jim Brewington.
Jim Brewington,
Yes.
indeed. You have...
Not the athlete. Did you know there's a famous Jim Brewington? He played football, I think, for San Francisco.
That wasn't you?
Is that
I've always thought...
Well, not for San Francisco. There were so many bids came my way, I had to decide. Yes.
Every time I'm looking back through archival, football stats, and I see Jim Brewington, I go, "Oh, I work with that guy."
And you haven't really done that.
I have not at all.
No. No.
We are a show that does not typically talk about football. What we do instead is we get audience questions about life, any facet of life, and we just try to offer advice. And insight and wisdom and stuff like that. So we have a question today, Jim, that we're going to talk about and hope to provide some of that insight. So
here we go.
The question today is nice, big, generic. It's what are the keys to making good decisions in life? And I take this to mean, right, like what are like generic trends or mindsets or things that are like reusable in a sense that over the course of a lifetime help us make better decisions?
That is so situational. Different situations, different ways to make decisions. What shirt am I going to wear today? Well, it's not a long analytic process when you're standing in the closet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think most guys just pull a shirt out and say, well, that doesn't smell that bad, and put it on, and off you go. But who should I marry? That may be a different decision.
Big one,
what career path, what treatment for my illness? Doctor's given me a couple. We have a lot of decisions that require, I think, different approaches.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
I would.
And yes, I guess you do make it. One does make a decision about the shirt. What's the weather at my workplace? Is the air conditioning and so. But I think the bigger decisions are decisions that cause pause in a person, where they have to. Oh my goodness, this is a big decision.
Yeah.
And when that happens, the way I do that is depend a lot on the wisdom of other people. First of all, I think it's important to decide do I have to make a decision about this? Is this something that I'm forced to just go ahead with this option or withdraw from the situation completely? So once I decide, yes, I have to make this decision, do I have to make this decision now? So there's a time element. Decide what the time element is.
Sure.
And if there is a gap in time, I don't know what you'd call it, a grace period, a unit of time that you have to make the decision.
Use it.
Use it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Use it. If there is going to be other people involved, then I need to consider, what
That's
other
right.
people, how this is going to affect their life.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm saying these things in any kind of order of priority. They really should be.
That's okay. Yeah,
They really should be. First of all, you decide if you're going to make the decision. Then you decide what are the alternatives to this. If I make this decision this way, what's going to happen if I in the other situation? How's that going to work? Is it going to affect people in my life? And by that, wouldn't that mostly be people in the household?
Usually
people in the household.
Especially if it's a decision that is explicitly about, them.
So I hypothetically have been offered a job in another city. Now, how do I make that decision? Well, first of all, I have to decide if I want to live in that other city.
That's right.
If I want to work in that other city, is the salary greater in the other city, and is that a priority? And would I be driven by the amount of money I'm going to be making? And the first person I would talk to about that would be my wife.
Yep.
Now, what about her job if she has one?
That's
what
right.
about her friendship situation and all her activities where we are? You're really exploding the household for lives
Our
of many
church,
people.
our kids' school.
All that stuff has to be considered. And then I think it is necessary to counsel with my wife. I would counsel with other people too whose wisdom I admire, I recognize, and then receive information from what do you think? It doesn't mean I'm going to be decision-driven by what other people say, but it gives me more flowers to smell. It gives me more options, more things to think about.
You just jogged my memory. When I was in college, I had a professor, a theology professor, who probably was in his 40s, late 40s, and he talked about how he had his very tight-knit, close friend group. There were either 3 or 4 guys in this group that they all went to college together. They all became pastors at different churches.
Wow.
And they've been absolute best friends at that point in their lives for more than 25 years or so. And he was explaining this system they have set up where they are, first of all, they're all married. And obviously their wives have the greatest amount of influence or say on their lives. But they said that at one point they just decided to be accountable to each other to such an extent where on very big life decisions, they actually granted each other what they called veto power.
Really?
Which I don't know how that all necessarily works. And
how much power did the veto have? If somebody vetoes it, I don't do it?
Yeah, kinda, yeah. And I remember him explaining about how one of the other guys was going to move to another city, and it was for a reason that they all kind of felt uncomfortable with, and and it was I don't know how it all worked in nitty gritty. This has literally been almost 10 years.
Well, the point is that they had people they talked to.
But the point is exactly,
and they gave them. They gave them opportunity to talk to me about this. I said something that I think I'm going to take back, and that is my first counsel would be with my wife because it affects the household. My first, this isn't just an ecclesiastical or intellectual approach. This is what I really do. I would ask the Lord,
of course,
what do you want me to do here?
Yeah.
What do you help me make this decision?
That's right.
Or make the decision for me, Lord.
Yeah.
And then you have all sorts. You do have some theological problems. There's some biblical problems. Well, this door is open, and God has opened the door. Not necessarily. Not every door that's open is opened by God.
That's right.
We can open doors.
Yes.
Our friends can open doors and provide opportunities for us.
That's
so
right.
Don't view an open door as a decision from God. But I would certainly pray.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would, and then I would be keen, I hope, to what he has to say to me. Now, my ability to be keen to what he has to say is not because he's not a good communicator and I have to decode and decrypt everything that is going on in my head. He's a clear communicator.
Yes.
And my sheep know my voice, he said, and I don't have to struggle to understand when he is speaking to me. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's one thing I would do. Mm-hmm. And then you have your gut feeling, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm not led by it.
Sure.
But I really don't want to live in a city so far north that it's 2 seasons. It's up there. Yeah. It's winter and July. And those are the 2 seasons. And some people like that.
Sure.
I know them.
Yes.
I have
same.
Talked to. Yes, I have family in Wyoming, and there's a lot of snow and a lot of cold, and they like it. Yeah, they like it. So that is part of the consideration, but I think moreover, certainly is the decision anti-biblical? If it is, then that decision's made for me right away. We don't do this.
I remember an episode, I don't know the number, how far back it was, but we talked once about decision making as a general concept on this show before. And I remember pulling in a resource that I had from a Bible class at my old school, where it was kind of this model of, does it fit like a moral will? Certainly, like, does it fit into God's moral will? Is it going to, if it's going to be sinful and like dangerous or something, then like, well, no, don't do the thing. And then the other aspect of it was wisdom. And is this, is this decision moral? Doesn't mean that you should jump on board, because what if this decision bankrupts your family and, is just like a bad decision,
right.
you know
Yes.
what I mean? And then there was a third part, which was personal preference. And is it something that you feel called and excited about or not,
Yeah.
and that we have to, if an open door, perhaps you could use that metaphor, is morally okay, and if it's wise in like a practical sense, or at least if it's not unwise, then I feel like we have that freedom to make a decision.
And you still have the effect that it's going to have on your family.
Yes.
And how much effect does it have? And should I be driven by that? Influence, perhaps. Driven by, I think not.
Right.
I think that we have to sometimes just make decisions that are the best for the family.
Yeah.
And we adults know better about what is best for the family than a child does,
That's
for
right.
example, or even a teenager, maybe even especially a teenager.
That's right, yeah.
So those are factors. I'm going to be a little open and vulnerable here. Well, I'm not vulnerable, but I'll be open. Well, I was diagnosed with cancer at one time, and Debbie was with me when we went into the doctor's office to hear, after the test had been done, do I have cancer or do I not have cancer? What are the results of the test? And the results of the test were, yes, you do have cancer. And the doctor said, but we have caught this in a place where this is treatable. He didn't say curable, but he said treatable.
Yeah.
And he said there are two treatments, radiation and hormone treatment. Those two are one treatment together. And the other is surgery. So we just go in and dig out the cancer and take it out.
Yeah.
And he happened to be a surgeon with a specialty in that area.
Oh, wow.
And Debbie, he was non-committal in his advice. You can go either way on this, and here are advantages and here are disadvantages. By the way, in parentheses, that's a way to do it too. List the cons and the
The pros, yeah.
and sit down and look at them. And I mean list with something you write with and can hold in your hand.
Yeah.
And consider all of that. Okay, back to the scene in the doctor's office. I wasn't sure exactly what to do because I wasn't getting clarity. On purpose, the doctor didn't want to tell me which route to go. And Debbie said, if Jim were your dad, what would you recommend?
Amazing.
And he said, I would recommend the radiation and hormone treatment. And I looked at him and said, do you like your dad? Do we...
That's a great clarification in that moment.
Yes, I need to know why you're making this. Okay, so I went with that, and that was a decision I had to make.
Yes.
And the decision was therefore fairly easy for me.
Absolutely.
I didn't stew over it. I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it or worrying about it.
Yeah.
I just said, this is the best way to go. Let's do this.
That's right.
And I was somewhat influenced that he is the surgeon who does this kind of surgery, and he recommended the other
thing
treatment to me.
That's interesting.
So anyway, there was one decision. Now, I had to make a decision when I joined the military, which branch of the military I wanted to join.
Sure.
I didn't have that an agonizing decision there either. I wanted to be in the Navy.
There you go.
I wanted to be in the Navy from when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to think Air Force or Marines or Army.
Yeah.
We didn't have the Space Force at that time.
That's right. Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Even more decisions now.
Do we have it now? What do they do? I don't know. Maybe Doge will.
I genuinely think that they're involved in satellites and spy satellites.
We don't have real space wars.
Yeah, but no one really knows.
Yeah. No, that's true. No one knows.
No one actually knows.
No, Okay. So those decisions are not earth-shattering.
That's right.
Should I be cremated when I die, or should I be buried? And that is, I guess, a decision people make. Some do, some don't. I just don't have trouble making decisions like that.
Sure.
When I was in the school where I taught previous to this one, CVCS, that school went out of business. And I had to make a decision, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I was fortunate that I had 4 offers.
Yeah.
I had 4 alternatives.
Yeah.
And one was not to teach anymore and just go home and sit in the in the lounge chair, in the recliner, and wait.
Sure.
That was no. But I did have those decisions to make. One was better pay, but it was a longer drive every day.
Sure.
Another was stay with a new school that moved into that facility, but I had such disagreements with the way they did things. I said no to that in my mind. But I did ponder all this.
Yeah.
And then CVCS, the principal came to me, contacted me, and said, Jim, don't make a decision about this until you talk to me.
Yeah.
And I thought, my goodness, I think I'm wanted.
Uh-huh.
Or my program was wanted.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I chose this. And I'm 3.0 miles from the house.
There you go.
So that helps.
It's a great,
Yeah.
a great
Okay,
mix,
so
great balance.
to summarize a little bit,
Yeah.
list the alternatives,
Yes.
analyze the alternatives, counsel with people whose wisdom you admire,
Yeah.
and you somewhat are obligated to, just as courtesy,
Absolutely.
your family.
Absolutely.
And so, okay.
They get brought in very early. You mentioned earlier, like you talk to God first. That's your first step. But I feel like wife is not far behind.
No.
and certainly I don't think you need to. I would not view it, just for clarification. I'm not saying that you suggest this, but for our listeners, if anyone is hearing it this way, like you talk to God first and you get kind of like settled, and then you go to the next layer of wife, and then you get settled, and then you go to the next layer. I think there's open dialogue on multiple layers at once.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all of that input kind of feeds together. Anyway, you were summarizing
once
things,
you make
but yeah.
the decision, do you have time to change your mind?
That's a great question.
It might be you make the decision and it's not activated or executed right then.
Yeah.
And so you have time to change your mind. Is it okay to change? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe a new factor pops up. Maybe a new realization comes to mind, and it's influential enough you do change your mind. That's okay. But what if you don't change your mind and you go ahead and do this and make this decision? It might involve moving to a new city.
Yeah.
And you get there and I think I've made a mistake.
Yeah.
I think this is.
I know people for whom that's happened.
Yes,
I'm sure we all do.
So what do? Do you live in the bad decision, or do you reverse it, or do you make another decision?
Some people
to
can't
go
reverse
in it.
it.
Well,
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Some things are
But,
irrevocable.
Well, if you can't reverse it, and you are in a situation that is, I didn't know the weather was this bad in this city.
Yeah.
Then just buy a jacket. Yeah. Just live with it. Man
Sure.
up. Come on.
Yeah.
There is no perfect situation.
Right.
This is earth. It's not heaven. And there's not going to be a perfect way for you to move forward without some sacrifice, without some discomfort. We're not put on earth to be comfortable. We're put on earth to serve.
That's right.
And to love. So if we make a bad decision, you either live with it or you reverse it or you make another decision if that's practical, if it's doable.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I just have one more lingering thought, which has to do with the time pressure, the time it takes to make a decision, and versus the amount of time you have to make the decision. And I just feel in my head that no matter the opportunity, no matter how great a possibility might be, I don't think I can make a big decision impulsively. And I don't think that I could.
Good.
I don't think that if something came to me and said, Joseph, here's a life-changing opportunity. It's just what you've always thought about, and it's perfect, and it's right here, but I need an answer right now. If it does involve uprooting family and if it does involve big things, it's like, I might choose it if I had time to really process it, but I can't be impulsive with that level of change.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And impulsive decision making is so common. I mean, that's why there are the candy bars at the checkout at the grocery store.
I feel like capitalism operates on our impulses.
It does. It does.
To a large extent.
It takes advantage of that.
Yeah.
If you're in an automobile accident, I had a friend who was in an automobile accident, called me from there, and my advice to him, he's okay and he's not injured. But
of course.
He was injured, actually.
Oh, okay.
And waiting for ambulance or something. I don't know. It wasn't so bad he couldn't call me, and I don't know why he called me, but he did. And my advice is don't sign anything. Why? Because the insurance company is going to be right there with a little check. And endorsing that is going to mean I am totally satisfied. Liability is wiped out, and so you don't do that.
No, it's certainly not in the moment. Yeah.
No, not in the moment. I mean, not even the next day or the day after that.
Yeah.
You get an attorney, a personal injury attorney, and see where this goes. Those kinds of decisions require some knowledge of how the world works. And that knowledge of how the world works is either inside the person who's making the decision or it's not.
Sure.
And if it's not, start seeking information from people you trust, more knowledgeable, and so forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Great place to end.
Okay.
Lots of wisdom in these last 20 minutes or so. Hopefully parsable for our audience to take little pieces out of that. Yeah.
I love it.
Let's jump to the second segment, which is the surprise Jim segment. You don't know the question ahead of time. It's always something pretty silly. This isn't the question, but remind me, growing up, you had how many siblings?
Well, I had two. I
okay.
had my brother, and then I have a sister who's 12 years older and wasn't living with us all the time.
Gotcha.
But two, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So my question today is a weird one, in particular. If you had the ability to choose as a child, would you have rather grown up in your family as the only child or in a family where you are one of 10 kids?
Oh, my goodness.
If I made you pick one of
extreme.
the absolute extremes, would you have rather been an only child or one of 10?
I would want to be one of 10.
Yeah.
I would not want to
Same.
be an only child.
Same.
Now,
Yeah.
what do I have to sacrifice if I'm one of 10? Well, I don't know. How wealthy are my parents?
Sure.
I probably am not going to have as much.
Not going to have a room to yourself.
But I am
kind of-
going to learn a lot about relationships.
That's right.
And I'm going to learn a lot about divvying up chores.
Sure.
And no, I think that I'd want to be.
Yeah.
I would want siblings.
That's fascinating. To me, it's same answer. It's not even a question.
Yeah.
I think the friendships. I only have one sibling. I have an older sister, but she's one of my closest friends. We've always been close. And
would you think you would be close friends with 9 others? And I don't know about that.
I don't know. Yeah.
My brother and I are almost 4 years apart, and we fought viciously when we were young.
Yeah.
And one day, our parents told us we each had our own bedroom. We had what's now called Jack and Jill bathroom in between.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, we shared this bathroom. And my parents told me that our grandparents are coming to Texas from Iowa, and they will be staying in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to go to my brother's room, and we would share that room while they were here.
Yeah.
And we had twin beds in there.
Sure.
Okay. I didn't want to fight with him. And we were lying in bed one night with the lights out, ready to go to sleep. And I had a thought, and I said, you know what? Why don't we form a club? And you and I will be the only members. And one of the rules of the club is we will never argue again. And we will let's get a box of some kind and keep secrets in it together. And we did that. And
Yeah.
he agreed. We have never argued since.
It's amazing.
That happened that night. It was just a decision. Let's stop this.
Yeah.
Well, you can't. It was my job to take the trash out. And he told me, well, you can't come into my room to get the trash. And I said, well, how do I take the trash out? And he said, I don't know, but you're not coming in this room. And my dad said it was my job to get the trash out.
Yeah.
Now what? So we told our dad, and he said to my little brother, put the trash can outside your door.
There you go.
And Jim, you go get the trash can and empty it and put it back there. Okay, those are the kinds of relational situations that you don't have any maturity when you're a kid.
Of course,
You got 9 siblings, my goodness, and the older ones have to care for the younger ones.
Yep.
And okay,
Yeah.
I don't care. I see the benefits of having siblings.
Absolutely. Would you rather be of 10 the oldest or the youngest?
Well, I wouldn't want to be the youngest. Let me think a minute.
Yeah.
Would I want to be the oldest? Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, somewhere in between.
Sure.
If I'm the oldest, I get out of this mess faster.
It's true.
Finally, I've got a room to myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would have a room to yourself at one point.
Yeah, it's just a preference, but it's not a decision that anybody could make because
Absolutely.
you land where you land.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Just a fascinating hypothetical. The dynamics of family and of siblings and the friendships and the rivalries, how it all blends to it's just one big thing. Like, yeah, I agree with you in the sense that, like, I feel like having 10 siblings, that's just gonna shape you so much as a child.
Oh, it definitely will, and that's the important part of having that.
As hard and
I can
chaotic
tell you what
as that would be,
is going to be really hard. Is hard on children is when mom and dad divorce.
Oh man, goodness,
That is traumatic for children, and I don't for a minute buy the argument they're going to be better off living in calm household instead of where we are arguing all the time.
No.
I don't buy that for a minute.
No.
Stop arguing. Grow up.
I think
And
one messy household is better than 2 calm households.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Because you have that relationship. You also see the two parents who have disagreements with each other, perhaps dislikes of each other, are forced to get along. And that's the lesson that we all need to learn, is how do I get along with somebody I disagree with?
I love that.
And that comes from staying in a stable house.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a fantastic place to wrap this thing up. This has been another episode of Brewing with Jim. Thank you, Jim, for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you to our audience for listening. As always, we like to end with an invitation. We have an email address that is brewingwithjim@gmail.com. That is set up to take your questions or to hear from you. If you have anything that you'd like us to know or to think about or to answer.
Yes, please use it.
Yeah, that's brewingwithjim@gmail.com. We check that all the time. So thank you again for listening. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
The topics that are covered and the answers that are offered during episodes of Brewing with Jim are designed to mine the wisdom attained from a life of pastoral ministry and care. They do not constitute professional or clinical training or expertise in the areas of counseling or mental health. CVCS and its podcast network want to provide a platform for the discipleship of our community. Brewing with Jim is our attempt to foster that environment in a format that is accessible for everyone to participate in. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed during the show are the speaker's own, and they may or may not represent the views, thoughts, or opinions of Capistrano Valley Christian Schools or its faculty. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. Capistrano Valley Christian Schools is a Christian JK through 12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Be sure to check out, subscribe to, and leave a review of this show and the other shows on our network on your podcast player of choice. Doing so supports the school community in a multitude of ways. For more information about the CVCS Podcast Network or any of our other shows, check out cvcs.org or email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the whole network, this is Mr. Jasper saying thank you again for listening and stay tuned for more.